How's it going? Welcome to What I Learned This Week, and it is Friday, TGIF and F, as I like to say.
It's a lot of F.
It's a lot of F. My name is Scott Fitz, and I have Nay J with me, and we're doing our thing as we do every Friday at 11 a.m. to discuss how we've grown as individuals. Mm-hmm. What we've learned, maybe not grown, but what we've learned. Sometimes we don't necessarily grow. In a week's time, but I'd like to try.
I've grown this week.
I've grown about 5 pounds, I think.
You were out of town.
I was out of town. It's a lot of barbecue. Peanut butter and nanner sandwiches.
Looks good. Got anything to share from that?
I learned a lot about Elvis.
Oh, okay.
I learned that.
You want to share?
Poor son of a bitch.
Oh,
he was. Let me just tell you. Elvis was an amazing freaking talent. The guy was incredible. And unfortunately, wise men say. He lived very close to the ghetto.
In the ghetto.
He was just, and then I just watched the movie Elvis. With Tom Hanks.
Was that preparation for your trips? Like you had to prep?
No, I watched it after. When I got back, I was all interested in it. So yeah, it's crazy, sad stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I knew a lot of it because my mother specifically had a very dear friend who was crazy about Elvis. Yes, I remember her being on television when I was young because I think she had this delusion that he was coming to her house or something, and before a concert. This is a very early memory, and I won't shout her out, but
did he show up?
He didn't show up, exactly. And it was like shortly thereafter he overdosed or something. So it was like, well,
maybe he was going to show up.
Maybe he was. But it was on the news that she cleaned the house for the, it's weird.
The king's coming. Got to clean up for the king.
Got to clean the toilet. King's coming.
Oh, especially the toilet.
Right. The what do they call that?
This toilet's clean enough to die on. Oh. Sorry.
But yeah. So
too soon?
Did you learn something about yourself while you were down there in Tennessee?
I learned a lot. Well, I learned a lot of I don't know if I learned. I was reminded that traveling's expensive.
Yeah. Well, you did send me a text at one point, and you sounded also annoyed at the stupidity of travelers.
Did I?
Do you remember that one?
No, I don't.
You sent me one that maybe you were just getting on.
It was on the.
You said people can't follow directions.
Oh, yeah.
I wondered what was happening there.
I can't remember. There was so many opportunities, so many times that happened.
Traveling is stressful. It's stressful. Was there a particular moment that you felt some growth?
Oh, I know what it was. We were just getting on the plane and they couldn't figure out how to put their luggage in the overhead compartment. And the flight attendant's like, put it wheels in first and put it on the side. And they're like, come on, seriously. This is our country we're talking about here. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's so good.
It was bad.
But then you had to practice patience, right?
Right. I had to practice a lot of patience. Yes.
Keep breathing.
I just wanted to throw the nearest object at the person. Will you just figure it out?
Yeah.
Man, what did I learn? I learned it. Why don't you tell me what you learned, I'll stew on my little idea.
Okay. Well, I will tell you what I learned because I always seem to forget. There's a forgetting that happens for me in the summer because I spend a lot of time outside and I do a lot of outdoor activity in the warmer weather. The moment that it gets warm, I'm doing edging my garden and building. I don't know what I'm
digging
building.
And stuff, building things.
Yeah, making, whatever. I don't need a gym, whatever. I can just trim my hedges.
Baling hay,
right?
Whatnot.
Those kinds of things. And now that the weather has turned just immediately colder over the last couple of days.
Right, it's fall.
Right, boom, here we are. I'm like, all of a sudden my schedule has gone, and like all of a sudden I'm not going outside. I didn't walk for the last few days. I haven't walked since Sunday.
Well, actually, I did walk when I was in Memphis. I walked down to the Mississippi, to the old man.
The brown
water.
But because you were in Mississippi, I mean,
Yeah.
it's warm down there.
I was in Tennessee.
Oh, sorry. You were in Tennessee. You didn't walk down.
Very, very, very small difference between those two places. Very small.
But point being,
Yeah.
the weather changed up here, and I did not go outside. And it's Friday now, and I don't do that usually. And so last night I was teaching a Zoom online art class, and I realized I had been sitting on my butt like 14 hours that day.
You clearly don't have an Apple Watch.
I don't want all the
Mine keeps
buzzing.
telling me it's time to stand up.
Drink some water or whatever. But I don't like to have those buzzing, and I don't like that at all. But I didn't. I mean, it's not that I didn't stand. I just mean I didn't get outside. I didn't do anything to get out there. So I remembered the great remembering is that I really need to get out there, move my body. It makes a big difference for my mental health. I got to remove shake my rump shaker. And to this point, I found a new activity that I am crazy about.
Do tell.
Okay. I found, well, before I just say it out loud, do you remember being back in like high school?
Oh, I know what this is. I know what it is. I saw this.
Do you remember being in high school and having that unit?
I didn't have that.
You didn't have
Did not have that.
Oh
no.
my God. Okay, so it's square dancing. You didn't square dance in high school?
No. I did not do-si-do.
No dough?
No do-si, no do.
Wow.
None of it.
How did that happen? That is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
have
just not something that we did in Florida.
Wow. Okay, I'm just going to sidebar here then. I always loved that unit in gym.
I can see that. I can see you
Loved it.
being one of the few people that are like, "Oh right, we're square dancing." Everyone's like, "Shut up, Renee."
Yeah, that's it. But I always loved it. I always thought it was a good break from dodgeball and getting slugged with the balls. But I also thought it was a really fun. Like I don't know if they even do that anymore with kids. It was a really good way to learn some social skills of the opposite sex. They sort of said it was like girls' choice. Sometimes we had to pick a partner.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't have to
Then there
endure
was
that.
boys' choice. They had to pick a partner, and sometimes
I'm
they
so
would just
glad
put
I
us
didn't.
together.
Yeah, because if it was boys' choice and girl, oh geez, what a.
Well,
Oh my
I
God, that
totally
sounds
remember,
horrible.
I totally remember, like, I know exactly who my partners were, and I didn't tag them in the post, but I was going to. Shout out Steve Small and Adam Siemens. But they were so much fun to dance with, and it was just real, and Gary Schwartz. And it was so much fun, and we just danced with each other. And it was, my point with this whole thing is, I tend to get really competitive when I'm involved in a serious sport. Like I was a gymnast and a dancer, and it's important that all your steps are the right way and that you get a 10 or whatever your highest score can be. This was so relaxed. So it's called Rochester Square Dancing. It was out in Scribner Road Elementary School. I think it's a B. It could be Scrib or Scrib.
I don't know.
But whatever it was,
Somewhere.
I went there, and this is just further proof that I truly am like an 80-year-old woman in the body of a 50-something-year-old woman. There was no one there was younger than 70. I had the best time. Everyone was so welcoming, and they didn't mind if you didn't do-si-do or Grand Promenade. You know, they were. It's very forgiving. It's very forgiving. And the cool thing about it is I got in about 2,000 steps in 1 hour. So, or more than that, 4,000 steps in 1 hour without even trying. I mean, I was a little moist at the end. I was like, I'm breaking a little sweat here. And, but
You're glistening.
I was glow. I was all aglow. So for me, the learning this week was I have to prioritize that in the fall. I have got to make sure that I get outside, I still do my walking, and that Tuesday nights, I got to go to this thing. I've just got to do it. It was so much fun.
Is it like every Tuesday forever?
So for right now, for the next 5 Tuesdays, it's free. They were so cute. They're like, for the next 5 Tuesdays, it's free. And then after that, drum roll, it's $5.
$5.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
$5 for how many hours of do-si-doing?
2 hours.
Wow.
I was like, this is the best deal. So I'm in for that. So in case anyone wants to know where I'll be on Tuesday night, so wants to stalk me, I'll be in Penfield at the elementary school, do-si-doing, do-si-hoing. I don't know what I'm doing, but no, I'm just kidding. But I really loved it. I really loved it. And I came out of there and I actually did. I felt like that way you feel when you leave the way some people feel when they leave the gym or workout. I felt like I got a good workout. It was social. I felt like I was a little bit back in high school.
Wow.
Where it was
Did they have a punch bowl?
They didn't have a punch bowl. They did have some snacks.
Snacks.
Light snacks.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. That's my learning. I got to remember it's fall and I got to move. Got to move my...
Big bowl
Shake my
of
booty.
Werther's Originals.
Don't rag on my friends.
Just kidding. That sounds awesome.
My
I'm
new
glad. I'm
friends.
glad you found something that makes you happy.
I
and
did.
that you get your.
I was going to see if I could rope you in to go at some point, and you and Kelly. It's so non-judgmental. It's step out of your comfort zone, man.
We'll see.
Okay. Your turn. What'd you learn? I learned Scott's not going
Yeah,
country
you
dancing.
learned.
He's not square dancing with me.
I learned that I
Check
just
that box.
cannot deal with square dancing. Oh, wow. So I learned a lot about kind of how important family is to me. It's not like I learned that, but I sort of relearned it. So we went to Memphis. I went to Memphis. My mother and father, my 2 older brothers and their wives. So it was the 7 of us. Kelly couldn't go because she had already gone to Florida. Her friend had already invited her to Florida before we got invited to this thing. So it just didn't work out. Turns out that was kind of good because there's no room in the truck for her.
The truck?
In the truck, we had a Suburban, and we're all piled into the Suburban.
All
So
kids in the truck?
yeah, so it was kind of fun. But there's a stark difference politically between me and the rest of
Everybody.
my family.
Oh, you're the,
Everyone else, I'm sort of the political black sheep.
you're the ugly duckling.
I see it differently.
I meant the swan.
Yeah,
That's what I meant. You're the swan.
I'm the black swan.
You're the swan
I
of
think
the
that means
family.
something else.
Wow. So did that stuff come up?
So it playfully did,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of blew it off. And then when my dad got on a roll, I was like, "All right, good night. I'm going to bed." And he's like,
Good
"No,
night,
no, 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 no,
everybody."
no, 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 no." He gave me a hug. He's like, "I didn't mean to upset you and stuff." And we just kind of,
Were you at a place at this point in your life where you could separate from that now? Where you're like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's him, it's not me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I went into that with that fear, like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
don't want to get dragged into this. And it's not like we have as a family. I've had some heated discussions with my father about stuff, but it's never driven a wedge between us
Okay.
or anything like that. It's
Yeah, because it can. It can.
oh, it totally can if you let it. And for me, it's and I don't know if some people may say it's wrong, but I kind of just go, you know what? That stuff isn't important. What's important is our time together, our family, talking about memories, having fun, joking around, learning stuff about Elvis and Sun Studio and all the cool things that we got to see, and
Yeah, we
because
have to forgive each other of our of these. I do think that the politics in general can be a wedge. I mean, I don't want to say it's not important. I do think it is important, but I'm not in a position to make big changes because I'm not.
Exactly.
Right? None of us really are. We're just sort of.
It's
what do
like,
they call
that's
that?
not a deal. That's not
Monday
a
quarterback or whatever you call it. Right?
Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, is that like where you talk about it? You're not really. You can't impact the.
It's when after the fact you have all the answers.
Right.
Right. So, or an armchair quarterback.
Armchair.
You're sitting there watching everything, going, "You should be doing this," but
Yeah.
you're not involved.
Right.
And yeah, it's not a hill that I'm ready to die on. And that, to some of the people who share my political philosophies might say, well, you need to be able to die on that hill because that's the only way anything's going to change. And yes, that's true. But at the same time, I'm not willing to alienate my entire family for that. And maybe if I was a millionaire, and I could start a super PAC, and I could do all kinds of stuff with my money, maybe I'd be like, all right, you know what, guys, this is what I believe in. I'm going to use my money for this. And I even think that even with that, they would respect that. They would say, well, you're doing what you think is right. So, but I couldn't.
Yeah. It wasn't the event to do that kind of thing either.
No,
this was a party.
No, it was, but it you know what? It kind of never is. I remember one time.
Well, isn't that what Thanksgiving's for?
Right.
Drunk uncle.
Right. Drunkle.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Kelly and I went to this was down in Florida. This was probably 2004, 2005. We went to what was it? No, it was 2004 because it was the election that was coming up, right? And that was what? Carrie Edwards and Bush Cheney.
And the other guy, yeah.
We went to a friend of mine. He threw a birthday party for his son, 5-year-old, whatever. 4-year-old, maybe it was even less. I think he was really young. The kids were young back then. Yeah, so they must have been like 2 or something. Yeah. And we go there, and the balloons, and it's a kids' party. There's all kinds of stuff. We're gonna have cake, and this guy's sister walks in, and she's got Bush Cheney buttons and the hat.
She's wearing the garb.
She's got everything. And we're sitting at the table, and she's talking to kids. Did you know that George W. Bush is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces? And the only thing she talked about at the 2-year-old's birthday party was George Bush. And I was like, really? Was
she his ex-girlfriend or something?
Right?
Why does she care so much? Wow.
So needless to say, we very politely kind of finished our cake and left, because I was like, well, not only do I disagree with your political ideologies, but
why we don't have to stuff our kids on it.
I disagree with the fact that you're pushing this on the entire party. We're supposed to be playing with kids and laughing and doing, having fun stuff, not talking about politics.
Yeah.
It was just so terrible. It was in such poor taste. And I'm like, do you feel good about yourself doing something like that?
It's the wrong venue for sure.
It totally is.
You can speak to someone privately one-on-one, but I was just being facetious about Thanksgiving. It's really more like Passover. But can you tell me a couple of things that you did down there that made you have that warm fuzzy about family that, reminded you of that? It was your mom's birthday, right? Did she love it? Was she surprised you were there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did she cry?
They both got a little misty. It was there's nothing specific that I can recall that was a moment like that you're asking, but it was just the entire time.
Yeah.
It was like the same. I mean, we haven't all been together like that in a while. And it was all the laughing, because my brothers and I we're both, the three of us are very similar in a lot of ways. We sound a lot alike. We laugh a lot. We have the same sense of humor and stuff like that. So it was cool. It was really fun. And I said, sometimes when you go on vacation, you're like, all right, that was a day too long, or,
right.
And I think that was maybe a day or two too short.
That's a good way to leave it, though.
It was like, I would have liked, because we were on the go. We got there Friday. We went out to eat. Saturday, we had the Elvis Museum in Graceland, which is like, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's huge. Graceland is the house, which, it's the property and everything. But then across the street is the museum where all the cars are and all the guitars and all the suits. There's a room full of his jumpsuits.
Oh, my God. I'd love it.
They're all on mannequins. It's incredible.
Wow.
We spent the whole day there. We spent like 11 to 5:30.
Were there Elvises walking around?
There were not Elvises walking around,
okay. No. Sorry. You sounded really serious.
Yeah, no, I don't think that would fly.
Okay.
That's Vegas.
Oh, I got confused.
I mean, his airplanes were there.
Oh my God.
You could look into his airplanes. It was pretty wild.
It's pretty cool.
But anyway, so yeah, it was maybe a day or two too short.
I love that. Actually, I think that's a great way to leave. Just feeling like, you want to get together again.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah, not like, oh my God.
Right. Ugh, enough. Right. No, that's wonderful.
Save
I'm
up
glad
for
it was-
another 5 years and I can do it.
Right. I know. It is spendy for sure. Well, that's terrific. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe if they ever come up here, we can all go square dancing.
They would probably do that. Why not? We just tell them we're going.
They can bring their boots. Do they have boots and hats and stuff down there? Don't
No.
they? No. Oh.
My dad used to. I don't think he does anymore, though.
Got their spurs.
Definitely not
Okay.
Spurs.
All right. Well,
They hung up their Spurs years ago.
I'm still trying to sell it to you. It was, I'm glad you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend at the Purple Painted Lady Festival. Just to say that was an amazing experience. Talk about not wanting something to end. I didn't want that to end.
And it's ending for good.
That's what they say.
Just got to do it again.
I just keep saying, see you in 2024. She's going to take a year off. Great.
Yeah, take a year off.
See you in 2024. But it was great. I think all the vendors were really happy. It was a huge crowd of people. Sales were amazing and just lots of good connections. So I like that feeling of, and it started to rain at exactly when the show was over, like just as we were packing up the cars, and it was one of those things, same kind of feeling that you're saying, just like, wow, I wish this was a little bit longer, and that's a better way to end things. So
yeah,
see,
that's what she said. She wishes it was a little bit longer.
On
that note, that's our week.
That's our week. That's what we learned.
We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel for what I learned next week.
Yeah.
Are you
the
confused?
future.
I'm confused. I'm not confused. All right.
Say goodnight, Scott.
Good night, Scott.
Bye.